From my point of view as a longtime consumer, gacha games are the fast food equivalent in a sea of media, only fully enjoyable when there's nothing in the fridge to satiate your attention. I've been playing gacha games for almost 10 years now, and I figured out that gacha, hot take, isn't good for you. But me as a freshman experiencing the absolute euphoria pulling my favorite character led me down a road that rewired my brain in a way that I still feel to this very day. Recalling back to 2017 and 2018 was an interesting time for me, considering the fact that I was exposed to many things that I very much so had no business consuming. Gacha being the one that impacted me the most, given where I am right now. For those of you who have absolutely no idea what a gacha game is, it's essentially a gambling for pixels with no value but the dopamine you get when $500 of real world money, 4 hours of tedious events, and gameplay loops until you finally pull your favorite waifu. Now, I'd like to point out that I played many over the years, and after spending $300 on an E1 riding Shogun when she dropped because electric boob sword women are my weakness, sadly. And after that excursion and a talk from my mother, I've have to come to the fact that I am a gambling addict. I know, this terrible neurological illness is terminal, and the only way for me to really feel anything anymore, sadly, is to roll for relics like my life depends on it, or go all the way to hard pity on the last 7 hours of a banner to really get me going, baby. We like to maximize our masochism on this channel. And speaking of masochism, I'd like to talk about my recent games I've played because clearly I have nothing else better to do, starting with one Dokkan battle. The raccoon city of my illness, the one that started it all. I don't really have much to say about it besides it being a Dragon Ball Z themed bubble popper with beautiful animations, cool designs, cool mechanics, very generous devs, and the least complaining community I've ever been in, aside of a few stragglers. In my opinion, Dokkan has mechanics that other AAA gacha should really copy from, and I can't even fathom why they wouldn't. Dokkan has two mechanics that have changed how I view about certain things in other gacha. For example, the Extreme Z and Super Extreme Z Awakenings, or Easy A and Seasons. Taking old units, buffing them to more modern stats, updating their passives to be more up to date so you can use them in endgame content. Caesars are just the exact same thing but on fucking cocaine, making them almost timeless and meta relevant for the coming years. Passive completely redefined, remixed, and restored, putting up numbers you'd only see in your wet dreams. The second mechanic is the coin shop. Every 10 pull you do gives a special currency you can use to buy a unit from the banner out of the shop, which honestly should be the norm, but you can only get units on their second go around, which in my opinion is still extremely good. Devs that basically reward you for doing nothing but logging in and breathing. Very casual, very cool. It's fucking Dragon Ball Z themed, pluses all around. Genshin Impact, the birth mother of what we have today, and honestly, I fucking hate it. I was a part of the train that only joined because it was popular and specifically to hate on it. Well, 600 hours and $400 later, you get the point. We already established that I have a problem, bro. What do you want from me? Not to mention, they dropped a purple-haired, lightning-wielding, boob sword-slashing saint with a RBF, you know? And that's a match made in heaven for fixer-uppers like me. Truthfully, Genshin's vibrant colors, character design, and world building up to Inazuma, in my opinion, was more than enough for me to fall in love with the game. Also because the game brought something unique that I had personally never experienced. Bad puede colors. Swirling elements being a core mechanic of the game, it was super cool. Mixing and matching characters to make big reactions to a big number was interesting. It was novel, revolutionary at the time, mostly due to the fact that it launched at the absolute perfect state, the perfect storm of scenario being COVID. Nobody was doing anything anyway, so look, a new shiny anime girl game, easiest $1 billion a company has ever made. However, the birth of the third heir to the Hoyo throne caused a butterfly effect that I can only surmise is inevitable. I fully believe every gacha company from that point forward saw the anomaly that was Genshin Impact and got to work, trying to recreate the 1 in a billion chance of having another freak explosion of generational popularity. Far beyond the too big to fail margin, Genshin is quite literally the Fortnite of gacha games in my humble opinion. All these devs eventually made the Powerpuff Girls of the gacha space, and by all these devs, I mean Kuro and Hypergriff respectively. Obviously, there's others on the way like NTE that might challenge the Mount Rushmore of anime casinos. But, returning back to my original point, I hate Hoyo for this reason. because it's the sole reason we have the most boring, monotonous gameplay loop that I've personally ever experienced. That being 4-player team-based swap skill, swap ultimate skill, ultimate swap. Kill me. Personally, I have no real gripe against it as a concept, but fuck me, dude. All of them, aka, kinda changes it, but Genshin, Wuwa, ZZZ, NTE, and Vaspura all have the exact same content. Granted, 3 of them are made by the same company, but the point still stands. It's the same shit with a different skin, but one of these refines the idea of swap slop and turns it into a mechanic, an actually really enjoyable mechanic. But it's already getting remixed by another game coming out. So much for novelty. Wuthering Waves. I don't need to say much about Wuwa. It's probably the most refined game on here by a huge margin. From the combat, exploration, character design, and apparently story. Don't ask me about it, because that's not why I'm here for it, baby. We're here to gamble, nothing more and nothing less. We hit the casinos with a beer in one hand and $400 in the other, going all in on red. We love going to hard pity, and we love losing 50-50s. Ain't that right, boys? Right? Wuthering Waves is almost a masterclass in combat purely because of the fluidity and the style of the combat. The parries, the dodges, and the impact of the moves, the works, baby. All that brings a certain flair of combat that Genshin and the other gachas I've played, and honestly, even other video games, just don't have. Now, to be fair, sometimes I feel like they release characters that kind of negate the whole parry system as a whole, like Camellia. I am using Camellia specifically because she's my most built character, so yeah, I guess you could say it's a bit of a cop-out. But she can start spinning like a Beyblade and it's going to hit the parry bar 3,000 times anyway, so there's no real point in engaging with the parry system the game wants you to. The character just brute forces the mechanic just by existing, and I'm pretty sure multiple other characters do the same thing. The movement and exploration of Wuthering Waves, it honestly annihilates every other gacha game I'm talking about, purely because they expand on exploration in such a ridiculous way that it feels AAA quality. Renacida and the very existence of 2.0 was absolutely was absolutely revolutionary in every way possible, and it deserves that praise because of everything that was introduced, refined, and expanded. It is everything ZZZ think 1.4 was, but on fucking bath salts. Not to mention, even before we get to 2.0 as a base, you can sprint up the sides of mountains at full speed like you're training for the tuning exams. 10 out of 10. Above all these positives, I can't talk about the story, simply because I'm not here for stories. I don't get my stories from video game essays. I'll slow down occasionally when something cool happens, but most of the time, I'm not engaging with the story of gacha games. Sheerly because it is a gacha game. They all suffer from the same terminal illness known as segmented character drops, solely for you to get close to the character, then drop a ban, and obviously time will tell that this is a proven method. How many times have you seen a absolutely gorgeous, stunning, bad mama jamma on a banner? She has a scythe, white hair, black, she known as father. I'm talking about Alachino, obviously. I was there for the Riding Shogun drop, alright? I know ball. But obviously, since it's a proven method, it fucking works on me, because when Tengen Toppa Silver Wolf Kamina 999 Sama drops, I might as well sell my soul, because there ain't no fucking way I'm gonna miss that! I am not above dropping $300 on my favorite character. Story will always be lower on my list for certain gacha, not Limbus, I love you, because they always suffer from PTBD. Post-traumatic bloat disorder. Circling back to my previous point, Hoyo and Wuwa always do this thing, mostly Hoyo, where they absolutely assault your ears with meaningless drivel that means absolutely nothing in the long run, and then combo it with absolutely nothing going on the screen that adds any sort of movement, dynamic, anything for the next 3 hours. TikTok brain might be the reason for this, but having 2 nameless bums staring catatonically at each other for 10 fucking hours and expecting you to be excited about the crazy Greek lore, that honestly should warrant 20 to life. So I'm quick to find a video by someone who sat through all of that explains it in a lot more concise, streamlined, beautiful way that gets to the point, that presents the story in a much more meaningful capacity. It improves the presentation. Speaking of bloat, the king of bloat and useless information is right up next. Honkai Star Rail. Currently, my favorite game as of right now, maybe because it's a turn-based, maybe because I abandoned games and come back to them 6 months later and play them into the dirt, tossing them away like a spoiled child. Metal Gear, I promise I'll get to you soon. It has grasped my attention for whatever, oh my god, for whatever reasons. So far, I think it's the most well-made of the Hoyo girls. Clearly, there's an elephant in the room that needs to be addressed, but she has a fucking death dragon, so I think I'll leave her alone for the time being. And said elephant in question already wiped out half the CC already covering the game, and coincidentally, they haven't added another one since her. Until now, apparently. HSR surprisingly has held my attention for a while now after taking almost a year-long break since the immortal ship segment of the story, because Belobog was almost perfect to the last minute detail in its execution and pacing that I thought the Shinjo Lafu would be the same. HSR surprisingly has taken one of the ideas that I made in my Dokkan section and made it a reality, which I think none of the other gacha girlies have done, and that is the easy A mechanic, reviving a unit back into its prime again, and entire teams back from the dead back to tier 0, where they belong. Dot, I'm looking at you. More of a reason to invest in your faves and patiently wait for their time to ascend up the righteous throne among the roster. As a Kafka lover and a Dot demon, a tear drops down my leg every time I hear her name. HSR having story segments that are 50 hours. 50 hours is more than enough justification to find my favorite lore nerds sit back with some food, kick my feet up, and watch the much more simplified version of events rather than hear a bunch of characters talk about what they had for breakfast 200 years ago and meaningless facts that add absolutely nothing to the story, because I can guarantee you there is nothing in any game that requires 50 hours to convey that you can't do in 10, and 10 is severely stretching it. All hail the skip button. If I wanted to partake in the lore discussion, I'm pretty sure HSR already allows me to replay story segments, so I'll be fine. And plus, even then, I have YouTube. This mostly comes from the fact that it's a gacha game, and they need to make it a certain way to give them time to cook up the next couple batches. Cool, whatever, fine. But the presentation of this information is inherently awful. ZZZ nailed it with the comic book style, bouncy way of having something moving on the screen. Hell, AKE does it well. Gameplay is turn-based, nothing special, not a metaphor, persona, speed, toning out the ass, perfect rotations to supercharge your T2 kings and queens to deal a once-in-a-lifetime 300,000 damage, while they stare to the side and look at the new toy, giggle, and drop 10 million, making the Grim Reaper himself shed a tear. HSR is the only gacha game where the endgame doesn't feel like a chore. I actually look forward to completing the modes, which might just be because we have an auto button, and me and the auto button, we've been getting a little chummy as of lately. And or probably because without spending a dime, by the way, true story, right hand on the Bible, hell could open up and snatch me up right now. Without spending a dime, I pulled the entire Elation cast after taking a year-long break. I have absolutely no idea who Sparksy is, but after seeing her trailer, I'm pretty sure that was all I needed to pull. Got her in 20 pulls, got Yao in another 50. Pretty cool, actually. Pretty cool. Sadly, I had to abandon my Kafka because Hicilians and Black Swan didn't exist when I was playing, or the more likely option, I was too poor. Dot is one of my favorite playstyles, giving your enemy 93 dots that all bloom into a fucking rainbow of colorful damage numbers that rival Sparksy's brain rot. Luckily for me, I have an entire mode that I can do that in. Diverging Universe has been one of my favorite things to tinker in, especially since I have access to units that I don't own, so I can really, fuck around with the characters and catch up with all of them, since I haven't been here and playing in any serious patterns in any serious manner since just after Jing Liu's first banner. Rip my queen. Not only is it the 2nd year anniversary coming in pretty quick actually, I've already heavily invested into Elation, so I think adding either Civil War or, Evanescence to it will be an overall net positive to my roster. It's a breath of fresh air between the open world, character swap, intro, outro, ultimate spam games that we have right now. I like it. It scratches a certain itch in the back of my brain, although side note, I do hope one of these little titans in the industry, most likely Hypergriff, makes a Fire Emblem-like experience. As a Fire Emblem fan, my favorites being Radiant, Dawn, Awakening, and Shadows of Valentia, I feel like they can make such an easy slam dunk, brother. Oh my goodness, it'd be too easy. All you need is just some intricate balancing. Obviously, it's gonna be fun as fuck anyways. You just gotta keep the descriptions to less than a fucking Bible passage, and we'll be good. But even if it did come out, it's most likely gonna follow the same formula as the Titans that already exists, and adopting the worst possible parts of a gacha, being the dumb ass 50-50 system. I don't know what fucking demon decided to make that and just spread that across every single gacha. It probably wasn't even the modern day Titans. It probably wasn't even then. That's probably an old black magic that has existed long before they did, and it's awful. Don't even get me started on losing 5, 6, 7 different 50-50s, especially on AKE. If I put the time and effort to grind out all of your tedious, mind-numbing, monotonous open world chess slop for enough pulls to see my favorite waifu, the dopamine has me feel like I'm soaring through the skies just to be burned at the wings by a stray Chi-Chi or a fucking Ling Yang, to plummet down to earth to my fiery death, I'm going to fucking lose it. Respect my time and effort, you corporate ghoul. I feel like fucking fine on all this shit is for nothing, just to reset again and again with these 50-50s, tearing away any hope of achieving anything that I set out to accomplish when I started saving a month and a half ago. Like, it just happens. I digress. The best gacha to me have the least amount of gacha. Just set the pity to like 120 or 80. Be generous with it, you're gonna make millions of dollars anyways. And guarantee it. Please do away with the 50-50 system. Same with the weapons. 80. That's all. Free-to-play currency in base game and every patch should be at bare minimum soft pity. E1 and E2 are free, just like in WoWa if you're smart, and which should be the most valuable cons on a character, along with, obviously, if you're a whale, E6 being the most boom for the character value. Everybody wins. Skins having an actual number next to them, like $10 to $20, and leave it at that. Honestly, NTE has the most unique, interesting spin on dupes in the gacha as a whole, along with skins. Very interested in making videos for that game. Now, hot take, gacha games should not replace regular AAA titles as your main source of entertainment. Gacha games could never deliver the kind of streamlined quality that a Resident Evil 9, E33, Final Fantasy 7, 10, and 2 could deliver. They aren't meant to be played like that. Short 1-2 hour bursts, do your dailies, levels, grind, get off. Patch by patch, they give you a nice 3 to 5 or 10 if you're fucking HSR of the story. Enjoy it, get attached to the waifu of the patch, pull her, rinse and repeat. The gameplay loop is designed to keep you playing and playing. No, playing and paying. Ooh, I clicked with that one. They've successfully industrialized your attention through FOMO, especially if you want to play endgame. God help you. Being in the gacha community for a little under 4 years, with the modern ones being those we talked about, and the last 10 on and off with others like Fire Emblem Heroes, Dokkan, you know, things like that, etc, etc, etc. I have never in my life seen as much whining and complaining, threatening behavior from any game but those. I pray to God you are not attracted to an anime girl as a straight man because she has big bahongala boobs, a katana, or a well-made backstory. Then, out of nowhere, one day you're waking up, fresh off the wake up, crushing your eyes, you see Genshin lesbian lover 03 doxing you while spamming porn of the exact same character saying, "She's for the girls, XXX," and now your entire family tree is on Twitter of all places. You're fucked, buddy. Don't even get me started on the propaganda agenda machines that are the CCs. Every other fucking day, there's somebody talking about somebody snaking somebody. Just as a side note, did you know, not even a month and a half ago, not even a month and some change ago, 2 CCs got raided and had their entire Discord spammed with a bunch of child SA videos and pictures. Did you know that? And nobody figured out who did what. But that's the best part. The temperature at that current point in time, and I'm pretty sure right now, is so high that everybody is fighting everybody. Every man for himself. One guy was fighting damn near the entire community by himself. Another guy went to court for supposedly horrible acts against his girlfriend. Allegedly. Someone was apparently photoshopped onto a notorious pedophile that's known for a very specific island. Death threats, misinformation. It's perfect. The perfect storm has arisen yet again. Because now, you can blame anyone for anything at any time. You don't need to watch. You don't even need to watch the videos that other people make or play the game that you're even supposed to represent. Your agenda is the strongest thing in your arsenal as a gacha sorcerer. It trumps facts, logic, reasoning. Agenda is the pinnacle of gacha sorcery. It's like a domain expansion targeting everyone caught in, some not even intentionally. But again, once you're in the world of CCS, you can farm any interaction at any time. Hundreds of times over. It is industrialized warfare. Every day, it's like elephants tap dancing on ants. It's like chaos I have legitimately never seen before. And boy, is it fun. So, thanks for watching.